Hello, my name's Keith. How you doing today? Today I'm starting. This is gonna be my new. This is gonna be my first video for the series of videos I plan on doing for the next several years. And what today is gonna be basics of tools. My channel, I want to help everybody that I can, and let you know and help you understand that you can do things around your home to save yourself money and to make your home better. And nothing that's in your home is really beyond, besides major wiring or something like that, is beyond your ability to do. But today I want to go over just the basic stuff that you should have around your house. Basic things, basic tools, and everybody's gonna say, "Oh, I know what these tools are." I get that, I understand. However, there's someone out there that doesn't, that might get confused. Okay, so what I'm gonna go over first is just basic hand tools. The first thing I want to go over is a hammer. We all know what this, I'm pretty sure of, but there's different styles of hammers. And I actually have more styles of hammers than this. All right. So I have, all these are considered hammers, but I have different styles of them. All right. So what is this? This is a claw hammer. See the claw? This is used for most carpentry work. This is used to nail in nails and to pull out nails. That's what the claw's for. Okay. And they're thin here, and that's so when you're swinging it, it's actually for air resistance. They're real thin there, so when you're swinging, you can get through the air quicker and get some more speed on your hit when you're hitting a hammer. So real quickly, claw hammer, made for hammering nails and taking nails out. This right here, I'm not sure exactly what you call these, but I've always just called it a 2-pound hammer. This right here is not for nailing in nails. Okay, this hammer right here is for knocking the shit out of stuff, is what it's made for. It's made for busting up concrete, busting up wood, driving. You could possibly drive in big nails, like I'm talking about nails like this long if you were building a deck or something. It's made for knocking bolts down through wood. It's made for hitting stuff that's stuck on a car, like a brake hub or something like that. It's the head of this thing is about 1 pound, 2 pounds. You can get them up to 3 and 4 pounds, I believe. But it just when you hit something, it's just a harder impact without all that force. But it's used to break things free, okay? And this right here, I call a ping pong hammer, but it's not. This right here is actually a rubber mallet, okay? And what's this for? This right here is if you need, this is not for nailing in nails. This is not for breaking stuff up. This is a lighter weight hammer. This is if you need to, let's say, like if you need to tap on the side of the, if you need to tap on like the side of a bucket or something, you can use this right here. It's rubber, it still has a lot of force. Or you can use this on like a tank or something of that nature. A lot of, you're probably not gonna know what these are, but like tanker drivers that drive dry bulk, they use this to hit the side of those aluminum trailers, so that way they can put a lot of force against it, but they're not busting and breaking and harming that aluminum. So this is if you want to hit something hard, but you also kind of want to protect it as well. So those are hammers. Claw hammer, nails, claw for removing. This is just a hammer to knock stuff around if you need a little bit more force, a little bit more weight behind freeing something up. And this right here is a rubber mallet if you need to be able to tap on something and not damage it as much, okay? All right, so we did the hammers. Those are the most common ones. Next, we're gonna go to screwdrivers, all right? These are some of the most used tools around the house. You're gonna use them if you ever use a screwdriver, you probably use it for more than just screws. You probably use it also for prying, for poking, for cleaning, for stabbing into stuff, or whatever the case may be. Not your neighbors. Don't do that. Okay. All right. So this here is this is a flathead screwdriver. So this is a little bit larger one. And then what you do is you have different sizes of flathead screwdrivers, right? So you have a large flathead and you have a smaller flathead. When you're using these, you don't see a lot of flathead screws anymore. They're still around because there's so many of them, but these are for flathead screws, okay? Make sure you pick the right size. You don't want to pick this big one to try to take a little small flathead screw out of the back of your cell phone. You want to use a smaller driver, or one smaller than this, obviously, and they make them. But you have this is a basic flathead screwdriver. Flathead screwdriver. This is what I grew up calling a Phillips head screwdriver. Some people call them star screwdrivers. All right. I don't know if you can see that. Some people call them star screwdrivers, but they got 4 points. It's basically a cross. So when you look at the head of your screw and it's a cross, then this is what you're looking for. These right here are better than the flatheads. Why are they better? On a flathead screw, you've only got 2 points of contact, and that's the top and bottom of this. So you got 2 points, and it's easy for your screwdriver to slip out of that. Okay. On these, they're a little bit better, because that's why they're tapered on the end, because they actually go down in the screw head and then they fit into that cross. So now instead of having 2 points of contact like this, now you have 4 points of contact because it's 4 points on the head. So now you've got better contact, right? That's going to make it easier for you to turn and not slip out of it. When you're using a screwdriver, whether it be a flathead or a Phillips head, apply a little bit of pressure when you're pushing down. You ain't gotta kill it. Just make sure you got downward pressure while you're turning. Okay. So recap: flathead, Phillips, or some people call it star, but generally it's called a Phillips screwdriver. The third hand tool that you see a lot more of nowadays, and which is actually one of my preferences, is this is called a Torx. And the way that these they come in numbers. They're T20, T15s, T25s, T2s, T10s, whatever. All right. But basically it is a 6-sided star. Okay. I don't know if I can get, where are you? Right there. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it or not. But it's a 6-sided star. Okay. And this, just like I mentioned with the Phillips head screwdrivers, gives you more contact area. Phillips head has 4 points of contact because it's an X. These have 6 points of contact because it's like a star. These right here, you have to make sure you have the right size, because if you have one that's too small, it's just going to turn inside of it and it's not going to do anything. If you have one that's too big, it's just not going to fit. So on these, you basically have to have the perfect right size. And these come in sets. The same with all these. The same with the screwdrivers and all that stuff. You can get these in sets. You can get them in random sets or whatever. These Torx screws and screwdrivers, these you're going to see a lot more nowadays. These, they're put in automobiles. They're put in for like interior in cars. You see them on washing machines, dryers, stoves. You see them on electronics a lot more. So these are being used a lot more nowadays. So these are the Torx. So basically all these are used for removing screws, right? Of some kind. No matter what the head is, it's still a screw. Flathead, Phillips, and Torx. Okay? That's about what you need to know for that. And just knowing the basics of what somebody calls. If somebody calls and says, hey, I need a Phillips head screwdriver, don't bring them this. That's a flathead. You want to bring them this, which is the X, okay, the 4 point. Somebody says, hey, I need a Torx. That's the 6 point, right? Okay, so that's the basics of that small handheld stuff. And this stuff is not expensive, but you need this around your home, okay? No matter who you are, you need this kind of stuff around your home. You need a set of screwdrivers. You need a set of Phillips heads. You need a set of flatheads, different sizes, small, large, whatever. And I don't say you're not going to say you're necessarily going to need a Torx, but you at least need the Phillips head and the flathead. Torx are going to be more specific to certain things that you're going to use, but you will find these in your home at some point. Hammers, same thing. This right here is really an all-purpose hammer. It really is. I mean, for years I've probably used this style hammer for just about anything that I needed. If I didn't have you know, one of these, a 1.5 or 2 pound hammer. They're good for everything, so you can get by with just having a good all-purpose claw hammer. Don't get, I mean, the little short, they sell these little short ones that's got a handle that's about this long. I mean, literally like all this is gone and this is all you got. I don't know what you're gonna do with that. Get a long hammer so you can get some boom, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be honest with you, you don't have to go to the store and buy none of this stuff new. Get up on a Saturday morning, go to some yard sales. You're gonna find one of these at a yard sale somewhere in that morning. It's going to be in the bottom of a bucket. It's going to be laying on a table. It's going to be sitting in somebody's garage, and they're going to want to get over it for 50 cents or a quarter. Okay. Same thing with these, with screwdrivers and Phillips heads. Can you go to a store and buy them brand new? Absolutely. Are they going to be very expensive? No. But if you get up on a Saturday morning and go to a yard sale, you might be able to come across a guy that's got a whole set of these or a whole bucket of these, and you can grab the whole thing for $5. Do they need to be pretty or perfect? No, because guess what you're going to do with them? They're a tool. They're not made to look good. So they're going to get dirty. They're going to get scratched up. They're going to get nasty. So if you don't have the money to supply yourself with just basic tools, I'm being serious. Go to yard sales. This hammer right here, I don't even know what brand it is, but I bought this at a yard sale. And this thing is a good swinging hammer. It's got a narrow neck. It's a good head. I mean, it's made out of steel. What you gonna do? And it's got an authentic wood hammer. And I bet you I didn't pay $2 for this thing. But if I go and buy me a West Wing, or yeah, a West Wing hammer. I think it's what they call them. I think it's called West Wing. It's similar like this. It's a West Wing. But that's what like professional framers and stuff use. I mean, they're super nice hammers. They're made to stop fatigue in your hands and everything else. But this right here, I can do the same thing with. So anyway, give me just a second. I'll get back with you to step 2, and we're going to go through a few more tools, and we'll see you in just a second. All right. I'm getting better with this stuff. Hopefully, I won't have to do a bunch of editing because I keep making mistakes. But anyway, here we go. That's the fun part, right? All right, so we went through the handhelds. We went through just regular stuff that you should have at home, all right? Which is going to be flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, and Torx. Those are the most kind of basic fasteners you're going to run into, besides nuts and bolts. Okay? I don't have big versions of these to show you, but I'm going to show you what I have. This is a bolt. This goes into something and through most of the time, and you have what you call a nut on the other side. This goes through probably 2 pieces of material to hold those 2 pieces of material together, and then you have a nut that goes on the other side, and you can turn either side or whichever one. If you turn this side and the nuts, and you're holding the nut, then it's going to tighten up. If you're holding the nut and turning this side, it's going to tighten up. So it's the same thing. You can use either side. But in a lot of cases, especially when you're going to tighten them down or you're going to remove them, you got to hold both sides. You're going to have to turn one side and hold the other side still. Okay? But this is a nut and a bolt. You're going to run across these in automotive. I'm trying to think about in your home. In your home, you might have like a panel or something on a refrigerator, and all you see sticking out, or on a dryer or something, and all you're going to see sticking out is that. It's going to be up against a piece of metal like that right there, and all you can see sticking out is this. Most of the time, what's going to happen if you can't get to the back of it is the bolt, or what some people call a stud. Is it called a stud? Yeah, it's like a stud in the engine. It's going to be held on the back side by something. It's either welded on or something. And then all you got to do is take a hand tool and turn this off. And then whatever panel or piece, oops, I dropped my nut. You're going to pull, then it's going to allow it to come apart. On the back side of that nut, you're going to have, more than likely, a washer. This is a washer. These are just small little things. Are they important? Yeah. Are they that important? No. So, you know, if you're younger and you're working on something and you lose one of these right here, if you can find one, yes. Do you have to have it 99, probably 80% of the time? No. Now, the reason you do want to use washers, and that they're made for a reason, and they go with nuts and bolts for a reason, okay? The reason you want to use them, let me see, is because what they do is if I was putting this in something, like in a piece of wood or a piece of metal, I got to drill, there's got to be a hole through both of those pieces, right? In order for me to get a bolt through it. So when I'm putting a bolt on, excuse me, I'm gonna hang it off my ear. When I'm putting a bolt in, the head is going to go up against the hole on the outside or inside, doesn't matter. But this right here, it would go in between. This would go on like this. You'd put it in the hole. The washer would be between the face of whatever material you put it on and the head. On the back end, you're going to put a washer up against the inside back of that material, and then you'd put your nut on. Okay, like so. When you tighten this down, when you tighten these down, what's that's going to do is that gives more surface area for when you put the force down on it. It's not going to tear it. If it's metal, it's not going to tear through the hole that's in the material. Same thing with wood. If doing with wood, if you're tightening something up, if you don't put a washer on there, like a bigger washer, like see how this washer just barely fits underneath the head. If you don't put a washer that's a good bit larger than that, then what you'll do is when you start tightening it up, it's going to pull the head through the wood. Like this is the wood surface, it's going to pull it through the wood as you tighten it up. On both sides, it could, okay? So in wood, I use washers that are bigger than the head and bigger than the nut because it gives me more surface area to tighten it down and not be so thin, the force be so thin on the bolt that it pulls through. That makes sense, all right? If you're putting together the back on a wash machine and you lose one of the little washers to put the back on it, don't worry about it. Seriously. But if you got one in the garage, go get it and put it on there, okay? If it's something that goes on a motor or something like that, it might be a different story, but if you're just putting it back on a wash machine or something of that nature, don't worry about it. It's going to be just fine. Just tighten it down enough to where it's good and snug and it ain't going to come apart and you'll be fine. If you have them, use them, okay? All right, so what tools do you use for nuts and bolts? Well, there's several. I got this as a bigger one just because it'll come up better on camera, okay? All right, so this is a wrench. It's just a wrench. Somebody says, hey, go get me that 19 millimeter, which is what this is. Yeah, 19 millimeter wrench. This is what you're looking for, okay? This is, to me, this is what I believe they call it a combination wrench. It has a closed end. Well, mine is also a ratchet, so don't pay attention to that. If you can get ratchet wrenches, if you can afford them, that's great. But this is a closed end wrench, and this is an open end wrench. So if I've got a bolt, of course, this is going to be too big like this, and it's stationary, and I can't really get something on it this way, but I can get through it from the side. I'm going to use a wrench, an open end wrench, to go in, turn, until it loosens up, and then when it gets hand loose, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to take it off the rest by hand. Same thing with the closed end wrench. I can go over top of it if I can, and I can turn it, pick it back up, turn it, same thing. Now if you got a ratchet wrench, which is not necessary, but you hear that ratcheting, if I flip it over the other way, it's going to tighten and loosen the other way. All right, these are nice if you can get them, not absolutely necessary. So you can use a combination wrench, but most people just call them wrench. Open end, closed end, wrench. They have the sizes always generally on them, unless they're just like really, really old and somebody's ground them off or something, or just extremely dirty. But they all have a size on them. Like this one right here says 19. This, I pulled this out of my metric drawer. I have a drawer of metric wrenches and I have a drawer of English wrenches, or American size. 1/2 inch, 3/8, 3/4, 1 inch, 5/16, 13/16, things of that nature. Metric goes in millimeters, which is, you probably got, some people that are watching this are going to understand this. The most lost wrench or socket in a garage is a 10 millimeter. All right. So metric, I think they go, I don't know, but they go in sequence. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and so forth, millimeter. So you might have a 10 millimeter, which most people don't have because they always lose them. Or you might be a 12 millimeter, okay? So don't get confused by that. They're always going to say the number on them. How are you going to know the number? You're not. Unless you're just that good, you're going to be, it's a lot of guys who are mechanics and stuff like that, they can look at a nut and say that's a 13/16 or get me a 16 millimeter, okay? But just make sure that you're using the right size when you're taking off nuts or bolts. Now, when you're taking off a nut or bolt, you're going to have to make contact with it twice. You have to have one on this end to turn the nut, and you have to have one on the other side to hold the bolt. You got to hold the bolt still so that the bolt and the nut doesn't turn. The bolt and the nut doesn't turn at the same time when you turn it. So you got to hold the the bolt still, turn the nut. All right. Sometimes it's got to be vice versa. Sometimes you got to hold the nut and turn the bolt. It depends on the situation. All right. But that's that. Wrench combination, open end, closed end. Most common tool that you'll find in a garage or in a bag or a drawer for using for nuts and bolts is going to be a adjustable wrench. Most people that I know would call this a crescent wrench. Crescent wrench is a brand name. It's a good brand name. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sponsored. All right. But a lot of people would call this a crescent wrench or an adjustable wrench. But that's what this is. Why is it an adjustable wrench? Because it has this little wheel on it right here. If you can see it. And what you do, watch, I'm turning it on the back side. You can adjust it to what size you need. So if you don't have a wrench or a regular wrench that's the same size or the right size for the nut or bolt that you're using, you can grab one of these. It's a multi-tool. It's like multi-pass. And you can adjust it to the right size that you need. You put it on your nut or bolt. You adjust it down to where it's good and tight on two sides of the nut and bolt and go to work. Now, a lot of times these, as you're moving them, they will adjust. So when you go back on there, tighten it back down good and tight. Turn it. If not, you'll mess up the head and you'll mess up the nut, okay? Adjustable wrench, crescent wrench. Very important tool in the garage. Now we're going to go into something else that you would use for nuts and bolts. A ratchet. All right. This one right here is just a real fancy ratchet. It's got all kinds of stuff on it. But listen. It's ratcheting. It's got a gear in there. And it's got this little knob on the back that you can flip from one side to the other, so it won't, now it'll turn this way. If I flip it the other way, now it'll turn this way, but it won't go back. Turn it this way again, it'll go this way, but it won't go backwards. That is like when you're taking off a bolt. If I'm taking off or putting on a bolt, I can pull it back around and get some more leverage, and then when I go against it to where it's not turning anymore, that gives me the way to turn the nut or the bolt. Then if it's good, then if it's still tight, that bolt's in place. I get another bite on it, come back, another bite, come back, another bite, come back. Does it make sense? Same thing with tightening. It saves all that wrist work with a regular open end wrench or a closed end wrench. If you can get a ratchet and I'm just going to grab a random size, and a socket. You have deep sockets like this, you have short sockets, you have small sockets, you have different sizes. This right here, I believe, is a 1/4 inch. And what makes this a 1/4 inch is this here. This is, I believe, a 1/4 inch socket, or excuse me, it's a 1/4 inch ratchet wrench. Okay, it's a ratchet wrench. And what happens is, let's see, that 1/4 inch. you find the correct size that you need for the nut or bolt that you're using. All right, this right here is a, this is a 9mm. This right here, if you look, one side is shaped the same as this other one, and this right here is shaped a little bit different. This right here snaps on like that, and then you put this onto the nut or bolt that you're using, okay? That you're trying to take off or put on or tighten down. So when you get you a set of wrenches, or if somebody's asking you for a ratchet wrench, okay, what size? 1/4 inch, which is going to be the small one. I don't have my other ones out here. Or do I? Actually, I do. Ah, look at this. I've got this one with an extension and a socket on the end of it when I was working on something. So this is a ratchet wrench, but this right here, I believe, is a 3/8. This size is 3/8. Not the socket, but the socket has to have a hole for 3/8. But the actual size of the socket that you're going to put on the nut or bolt is whatever size you need. You just got to have a 3/8 drive. This is called the drive. This is the size, the drive size. Why would you need different drive sizes? Well, this right here is good for little small stuff. If I need to get into something tight, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe I don't need to put a lot of torque on something with a long handle, and I've got ones with even longer handles than this. I might not have to put as much torque on it. If I'm working on a car or something, I need something at least this size on an engine or something. If I'm working on something in the interior of the house, a washing machine, a dryer, a stove, anything like that inside the home, a little 1/4 inch drive is generally going to do it. Okay, so hello. I live in the country, so you might hear that a little bit more. Not a problem. It's hunters hunting because it's deer season. But you got 1/4 inch drive, 3/8 inch drive, you got 1/2 inch drive. It may go bigger than a 1/2 inch drive, but not necessarily. So we went over some fairly basic hand tools. The sockets that goes on these, before I forget, the sockets that goes on those, if you buy a ratchet wrench, make sure that you get a set of sockets that match the size of the drive. Don't go buy 1/4 inch sockets because they're cheaper and then go get you a big 3/8 or a big 3/8 drive or 1/2 inch drive ratchet, because they're not going to fit. They're just not going to fit on here. But each tool has a use, and that's why a lot of times whenever you are buying tools or looking for tools, you need to get the size that's going to be best for you or what you're using it for. And over time, you will gradually accumulate tools. I mean, dude, I find tools places all the time. I've stopped my car in the middle of an intersection to pick up a ratchet because it fell off somebody's truck and they've been long gone. The car's just sitting there riding over it. And these things right here, they will generally last you forever. So will a wrench. Generally, so will one of these. They will generally last you a lifetime. There's a certain brand tool out there. It's American made. It used to be sold by a company here in America that I don't know if they're still in business or not. Sears. But they sold a brand of Craftsman tools. You see Craftsman's. Yeah, see, look. Craftsman. This right here is a Craftsman screwdriver. They're red and blue. Can't miss them. Those were guaranteed for life. If you broke it, took it to Sears, they gave you a new one. Yeah. But anyway, the tools are going to last you a long time. They're not generally disposable, okay, when it comes to regular hand tools. So I just wanted to go over the basics of hand tools. We went over flathead screwdrivers. We went over Phillips head screwdrivers. We went over Torx drivers. We went over nuts and bolts and washers. We went over a wrench, open end wrench, close end wrench, and I call it a combination wrench because it has both. And sometimes you'll find wrenches as well that have a different size on each end. This might be 7/16. This over here might be 1/2 inch, or excuse me, Yeah, 1/2 inch or something like that. And that's fine, because that gives you 2 options. It might be open end wrench on both sides. That's great too, because you can still use it no matter what. Sometimes you'll have a wrench that's not a combination wrench, it's both closed in. They're both closed in on both ends like this, or open on both ends. And again, you might have one that's one size on this end, one size on that end. And it'll be stamped or laser engraved right there, okay? We went over crescent wrenches, or what is it called? Adjustable. Why is it called adjustable? Because it's got an adjustment where you can adjust it with your thumb. You just turn it and roll it like that right there, okay? You've got ratchets. Got a little button on the, or a little switch on the back. Goes one way. Little switch on the back. Goes the other way. One other thing that I want to go through, and the reason I want to cover this is because you see them a lot with furniture. A lot of people nowadays are putting furniture together at home, and I see them a lot. And most guys that have garages or work on things, they're going to have probably 40 or 50 of them laying around somewhere in a drawer, and going from there. And every time you buy a piece of furniture, you're going to get a new one. But that's an Allen wrench. This is an Allen. It's a large Allen wrench, in my opinion. This is a 7/16 Allen, and it actually says Allen on it. This is a 7/16 Allen wrench. I don't know why they're called Allen wrenches, but they are. I'm assuming his name is Allen. I don't know. Doesn't really matter to me right now. But it's called an Allen wrench. And an Allen wrench has 6 flat sides. And it's almost the same shape. Well, actually, it is the same shape as a bolt head, okay? The two have nothing to do with each other though. But this is an Allen wrench, and then here's a smaller version of an Allen wrench. This is what a lot of people will see in the homes. This is more automotive, heavy mechanical, okay? But you'll see Allen wrenches this size, but don't get them wrong. They are different sizes, okay? There's different sizes of Allen wrenches, all right? So, what is an Allen wrench? I'm going to use this big one so you can see it better. What is this Allen wrench used for? You'll see this a lot. You'll see these types of fasteners in furniture. You'll see them on appliances. You'll see them on all sorts of things. You'll see them on electronics. Nowadays, more than likely, you're going to see like an Allen wrench on an electronic and a Torx that we talked about earlier, okay? They come in different sizes. If you buy like a piece of furniture to put together, like a table or something like that, 99% of the time they come with an Allen wrench. They're gonna be this big, but they come with Allen wrenches. When you get done putting your table together though, keep them, okay? But with these right here, it's hard to get the wrong size. Unlike with like a flathead screw, or with a Phillips head screwdriver or something like that, or a flathead screwdriver. These right here, they're pretty size specific. If you can't get it in there, it ain't gonna fit. If you get one that's too small, it's just going to sit there and turn and it ain't going to do nothing. It has to be fit perfectly. And these are good fasteners as well. It's hard to strip one of these fasteners, or strip the head off one of these fasteners. Just like it is hard to do with a Torx, because you have more points of contact. Same thing with an Allen wrench. You have more points of contact. It's a lot, you get a little bit more torque on it because you have more corners of these flat corners and these little peaks to make contact inside that when you're putting pressure on it. Okay, does that make sense? I hope it does. I have a tendency to rattle, so sorry. But again, more than likely you're going to see that same tool in about this size. Okay, when you get done putting your furniture together, keep these. Put them in a toolbox, put them in a drawer, or whatever the case may be. Furniture, a lot of times, over time they'll get those connections will get loose. You go to your drawer, you find the right size, tighten it up. A lot of people break furniture because those fasteners, or chairs and stuff, they break tables and furniture, and and chairs, because those, over time, those connections where they connected with the Allen screws or whatever, they get loose. When all you got to do is go to your drawer, find the Allen wrench. When you start feeling it getting a little bit loose or getting a little bit wobbly, take the Allen wrench that came with it, or go find one that didn't come with it but still fits, and tighten it down. It'll last another 2 or 3 years. It gets loose again, tighten it down. You know what I'm saying? So that's my little spiel. Again, my name is Keith. I just wanted to, again, go over basics. If you would, I know this probably doesn't mean anything to you guys, but it means a lot to me. And I put a lot of time in just this one little short video, and I'm hoping that I can get better at this. But the future videos, are going to be more about tools, more about making small repairs that you can make at home to save yourself money. This is for you know, new out of the house kids, guys, girls. This is for somebody. This is for a lady that's by herself and wants to put together furniture, or you know, or a guy that's by himself and wants to put together furniture, has never done it before. It's for anybody that needs the help. Okay, and that's one thing I've always tried to live my life by, is if I can help somebody, I want to help them. And I hope in one day that whenever I need the help, like a like and a subscribe, then I'll get the help that I need as well. Be blessed, stay safe, and I will catch you on the next video.